the other day I met someone new, and when we were talking, at one point we both found out we were interested in art, right? And so they were saying like, oh, can I see your art? And I was like, yeah, show me yours too, right? And they showed me their art, and I thought it was beautiful, like gobsmacking me. So I was like, damn, right? This is lovely, downright, okay. And then because of that, I felt like, oh, maybe I shouldn't really show them a lot of my art, because in comparison, I felt it wasn't as good. And so I showed them only like the best pieces I made. And that's it. Like, I wasn't like, oh, I should show them sketches and stuff. And usually I would. Like, I'd be like, oh, this is like a bunch of stuff I've made, regardless of its quality. But this time, I felt this resistance. I felt like something was holding me back, and it's because of this fear of judgment, right? And I feel like that's what the feeling of I'm not good enough is. And I have that with art sometimes, and with other things too, like appearance and humor. And I feel like it's pretty common amongst just people in general, and I feel like it's mainly because of, the system we live in, which is interesting, because everything's done in a, or not everything, but a lot of things I feel are done in a way that doesn't benefit the individual. It benefits a set of individuals that are rich, right? I feel like because we're in a very capitalistic system, that pours into everything, and I feel like from the moment we're a kid, we're assigned like a numerical value, like for grades, at school. I remember when I was younger, I'd get really low grades, and my like first grade teacher, for some reason, she really just enjoyed the suffering of others, I think, because she was like, oh, I think it's a good idea to just put everyone on a list of how nice they were this week, or how hard they worked, and then put that in front of everyone, so everyone can see how good or bad they are. And I think that kind of thing works well for people that do good. And for me, I was always put at the bottom of that list. And at a certain point, like no matter how hard I tried to get like higher, it just wouldn't work. So then I just gave up. And I think stuff like that, like, it's like a public humiliation thing, right? And I think, of course, my teacher, an adult woman, was probably very aware of this, but did it anyway, because she thought it would be beneficial, maybe. But then, from then on, like, there's this idea, like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not as hardworking as my classmates. I don't do enough, or I don't act as nice. And then from there, I didn't want to go to school that much, because it's like, oh, this is a place where I'm not really appreciated, right? No matter how hard I work. And so me not wanting to go to school created a similar mindset with that, like, at my house, because it's like, oh, like, why don't you want to go to school? You need that to, like, learn and do better, that kind of thing. And that's just how things kind of work. It doesn't have to be the case, of course, but it is the reality for so many people, right? Where if you're doing poorly at something, usually school, or there's this perceived notion that you're doing poorly, then there's people that seem worried about you, but in a way that almost seems backhanded, like, oh, if you're not doing well in school, you won't do well later in life. And then there becomes all this pressure for no reason, because I find, like, graduating high school and being in college has really made me realize, like, everyone's on their own path, right? Everyone's doing things at their own pace, and it really doesn't matter how fast or slow someone is going, like, because everyone is different, right? And I really mean that, because sometimes, like, I do art, and I'll see like 13-year-olds do like the most like gobsmacking, beautiful art piece ever, right? And they'll be like, oh, quick sketch that I just crafted up, and it's like, oh, right? Like, damn, I can't do that now. Like the work that they do, and at one point, I kind of thought like, oh, why wasn't I at this point? At this point, when I was 13, why wasn't I this good? Maybe I'm not good enough. And the reality is, these people are extremely ahead of the curve, because like, what the hell? Like, the average 13-year-old, I don't think, can do this. But also, their life is completely different than mine. And for some time, I kind of thought like, oh, people are different than me, and kind of thought like, oh, maybe they're worse at other things that I'm better at or something, so then it makes me feel more equal. But I don't think people should, I don't think that's what it should take, because then I'm putting someone else down, and I'm trying to put myself up by doing so, right? To make us quote unquote equal. But I don't know, like, I think people should just be valued for what they do. Because how I've been starting to think of that is, like, imagine a baby, right? Like, the baby can't even talk, okay? But you're spending money to feed the baby, and to allow the baby to sleep, and to make sure the baby's healthy. You'll take them to the doctor, right? You do all these things for this being that just cries. There's nothing that it really does besides just like eat and sleep and cry and be annoying, and also be like cute, I guess. But babies have worth, right? And never would a like healthy parent look at their baby and go, you're not good enough, right? Because what are they supposed to be doing? They're not expected to do anything besides just grow. And at what point does that change? That's what I've started to think about. Like, does it change when the baby grows up to be a child, when it can do more things like speak and draw and stuff? No, right? Because it's still just a child. Like, they're still just learning, right? But then does it change when they're a teenager in high school? No, because again, they're still just learning. They're young, and I think if you keep going up, there's never a point when we aren't still just learning and young. I think even when we're like 100 years old, which is rare, but like, we as humans perceive it as old, but it's just short. Like, it's relative to everything, it's small. And that's okay, I think we're all just young in a way. We're all just young and growing. Like, there's no way we stop. And then in that case, there's nothing we can really compare ourselves to, especially when it comes to art, which is something I'm very passionate about, because it's like, I can compare myself to one person all I want, but they're just doing their own thing, and me putting all this attention into thinking I'm not good enough, this person is better than me, it just, I'm putting my energy into putting myself down and idealizing people I don't even know. Even if I do know the person, I don't really, like, I only know what they tell me, but I don't know everything about them, right? I know a couple people that are exceptionally good at art, to me, and it's all subjective too, right? But to me, I think they're really good. And then I'll kind of think like, oh, I wish I was that good. But then they'll tell me about why they're that good, and they talk about like their dedication, their passion, and it's like, damn, like, I can't go back in time and change that. I can't change the passion I felt in the past. I think everything should just be celebrated instead of judged, because if we judge each other, this goes back to like how society is built, right? If we judge each other, if we put each other against each other, if we assign numeric value as to who is best and who isn't, we are never going to make a big change, right? I feel like so many people are against the system we have, and wanting for things to change, but it can't happen if we all feel individualistic. It can't happen Because when we all feel individualistic and we feel like, oh, it's me against you, there's no such thing as community. There's no real community there. It would be fake if it exists. And let's say someone looks really good, and I think, oh, I wish I looked like this person, right? Then there goes like beauty products like around the corner that are going to advertise like, hey, this is like a hair product you could use to make your hair look better, or this is like makeup you can use to look prettier, to look like how you want to look, and it's just for things to be sold to you. That's what insecurity, I think, is for at this point in our world. That kind of reminds me, when I was younger, I really liked the show Steven Universe, and in this show, I feel like there's a lot of flaws to it, but there are also a lot of very beautiful lines, and one of the lines that I really resonated with is by this character named Rose Quartz, who's, okay, she sucks as a character, I cannot lie, but sometimes she also simultaneously would say the most like fire stuff, so yeah, but at one point she and her like husband, boyfriend, whatever, Greg, are on a beach, and she's like an alien, okay, for those who don't know the show, and she's an alien who, like, in her species, I guess, everyone is like made for a purpose. Everyone is made to do something. And in that case, you can be seen as not good enough because there is a definite thing you are made for. There is a thing to measure your worth, right? Because if you were born, like, they're gems, and if you're like a certain gem, you're like created for a very specific task, right? And so if you can't do that task, you are basically defective, is what it's called, right? But she sees this human baby, and she says this:
"You wouldn't believe how long it took me to figure out that this and you are the same thing."
What do you mean?
You're both human. You have to admit it's a little confusing. You're big and can talk, and he's small and can only make noises. How was I supposed to know you were the same species?
What?
I know, it's silly. But then I started to notice that you grow.
Well, can't play guitar with little baby hands.
When a gem is made, it's for a reason. They burst out of the ground already knowing what they're supposed to be, and then that's what they are. Forever. But you're supposed to change. You're never the same, even moment to moment. You're allowed and expected to invent who you are. What an incredible power. The ability to grow up.
And I think that's really beautiful because it really shows, because it's true. I think it's beautiful because it's really true. Because we were just made to grow and change and learn. And if we're doing that, at least in some way, then I think we've served our purpose. I think we're doing what we're made to do. And that is good enough. I think that is what the definition of good enough is. If you're serving your purpose. And all of our purpose in life is to just live, to just experience. And there's no way you cannot do that. Even if you stay inside all day and just play games, you are still experiencing what people have made. You're experiencing the lived experience of other people just turned into a fictional story, right? Because that's what writing is. Like, there's no way you can't not talk to people. There's no way you can't not listen to what people have to say. And so just listening and talking, that in its own is experiencing and learning, even if you don't feel like that's happening. I think even people that are frustrating, people that don't really seem to want to change, they are good enough because they're still just alive and experiencing, as I've said. Sometimes I kind of wish I could go back in time and give myself a lot of the knowledge I know now. But I don't think that would be good for me, because why fast track, right? Why not go on the path that I'm just like going on? There's so many people that want to get ahead and stuff, but then sometimes taking the fast route makes you skip a lot of the things that make the route worth going on. And I think the reason a lot of people like me that want to go back sometimes and be smarter in this one instance, say something more confidently in this other instance, and kind of fantasize about doing that. It's to gain a sense of control, because ultimately, I think feeling not good enough is because of loneliness, and not wanting to push people away at any cost. Yeah, for me, like if I think about like, oh, I could have been more confident in that moment, it's to make the other person potentially respect me more. But it doesn't matter, right? Because then I'm not being me. I wasn't being me in the moment. And if someone can't enjoy me for that, then it's like, that's okay. That's okay, because again, that is an experience you're having. To experience being disliked, to experience being loved, to experience being hated and liked. It's all stuff that makes us human. If we only experienced being loved, then I think we would be so disconnected from everyone else, because that is a hard thing. But that's something that connects us at the same time. And something we all relate to. It's moments like that where I talk about that kind of stuff with my friends, where I say like, oh, sometimes, I wish I could be better at this. And sometimes they don't offer advice, they just go, yeah, me too. And we kind of sit with that, and it just connects us, because it's like, yeah, we are in this together. Like everyone is in that situation. I don't think no, not that I don't think. I know for a fact that nobody can just be loved and that's it. It's not possible, because all of us are so different, right? There are almost 8 billion people on this earth, right? At least one of them will hate you, and it's not because of anything you can do, right? Because it's the same thing you have towards other people. You don't like some people, and sometimes it's just because. It's not even because they've done a specific thing. It's just how they are doesn't align with you. The phrase, "I'm not good enough," I think is a simplified way of saying I'm lonely. And I don't want to push people away by being myself, and by using the skills I currently have. Yeah, that's it.